Dear students, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, she, her, he, him, they, them, and every single person in between. Welcome to my road less traveled. I was born Andrew, or affectionately Atu, a small Chinese boy in 1990 in the largely white suburb of Eltham in Melbourne, Australia. My parents wanted me to learn Cantonese, so they only spoke to me in my mother tongue until I was old enough to go to kindergarten. I remember not having a single clue as to what everyone was saying the first couple of weeks at school. As the odd one out, I found my natural comfort in music. I still remember that time my mom took me to a kids' keyboard class when I was 5, and I sat along with 20 other 5-year-olds. If I was able to go back in time and relive any moment of my life, it would be the first time I laid my tiny hands on a keyboard. It felt as natural as breathing, and within minutes, I had finished the entire music book in front of me. A few years went by, and one day, Dad came home from work and said we were going to move to Singapore. He had been relocated for work, just when I was starting to fit in at school. My parents pointed at a tiny little dot on the world map, underneath what looked like a giant crocodile's head, Malaysia. I was 7 then. I had flown to Kuala Lumpur several times before to visit relatives, since Mom is originally from KL. They listen to Cantonese music like Sam Hui over there. I was told my ears were so sharp that I was able to sing any tune after only hearing it just once or twice. I even knew how to jump octaves if notes were too low for my little boy soprano voice at that age. I also used to sit on my uncle's shoulders as he took me around traditional Chinese medicine shops to sing for all the uncles and aunties. Anyway, jumping back to 1998, we packed our bags and I said goodbye to all my friends as we moved to Singapore. From peaceful, leafy, green Melbourne to Kanchong, high-tech, Kiasu, Singapore, it was a massive culture shock, and I was made fun of for having an Aussie accent. They called me Angmo Andrew, even though that couldn't be further from the truth. Mom, having acquired a new circle of Tiger Mom friends, pushed me really hard to skip a grade. See, I was already the youngest in class in Australia, having been born on the academic cutoff date to either start young or be held back. And so this meant that I was 1.5 years to 2 years younger than everyone else. Everyone was so big and I was so much smaller. And I could also never understand how my parents, who were so gentle and chill and patient with me in Australia, suddenly became like different people. They became so impatient and kiasu once we moved to Singapore. I withdrew and became emotionally distant. I did all my schoolwork just to appease Mom, and as soon as I was done, I wore headphones, listened to music, and emotionally zombied my way through life for the next 10 years or so. As a result, I have very few memories between the age 7 and 17. I was barely in touch with any emotions at all, and if I had any feelings, they came out in songs, which I would sing and then push away. I had my armor, and my armor was music. I also suffered from insomnia, and I wrote this next song during one particular sleepless night. Pretty baby, why can't you sleep at night? Is it because you find pleasure in living all the train wrecks in your mind? Lost back life After high school, all I wanted to do was write, perform, produce, and engineer music. I got into Queensland Conservatorium, Griffith University, to do a Bachelor of Music Technology at the age of 17. I taught guitar, bass, violin, and piano part-time, and I was the musical director of a 12-piece funk and soul band that performed in casinos and RSLs, which stands for Returned and Services League of Australia. We performed for veterans who had served in the Australian Defence Force. I produced my first full-length album while I was still a student and made a second EP soon after I graduated. I played guitar, bass, keyboards, and sang in clubs on weeknights and taught music during the day. I also traveled to the countryside to play at weddings in vineyards during the weekend. I don't recall emotionally connecting with anybody during this time. If I did show my vulnerability, it was uncomfortable, and I would end relationships if they got too personal. After a while, I saw other artists and musicians achieve successes I could only dream of. This was heartbreaking for me because the only thing that mattered that I prided myself on was music. And I sucked. That's honestly how I felt. I'm gonna jump to the present time, age 31. It's uncomfortable for me to experience vulnerability because I had spent so many years of my life being distant. But I understand now that the most important thing we have as humans is to empathize, feel, and connect with one another. Just like the Insomnia song, Trainwrecks, my hidden desires and feelings always came out in my music. Yet, I had an incredible amount of insecurity because my self-worth was tied up in how my music was received. I had a tiger mom who expected perfect grades and yet was emotionally unavailable. As a result, I find human connection extremely challenging, and yet I have an insatiable longing for it. Mama, it's absurd how we have been apart. When I once was connected to you through my umbilical cord, and every inch of you fed every inch of me, yeah. When I look into your eyes, there's still a part of me that lives inside. I wanna share it with you. I wanna share it with you, yeah. Childhood trauma comes screaming back in adult relationships. Attachment issues and residual abandonment gets amplified and wreaks havoc for young couples who turn into parents, and the cycle continues. As an emotionally distant teenager, I did a 180-degree flip and became needy and clingy as an adult whenever I paired up with distant partners. I tortured myself by staying in toxic relationships much longer than I should have, because the feeling of not getting what I needed was something that was familiar to me from childhood. I get lost when I look at you and catch that perfume I've grown so used to. My tongue gets tied every time I try to tell you the truth. Oh, No, I can't keep up this act. No, I can't keep coming back. Can you please just set me free? 'Cause you could never be close. For you, I'm doing the most. But each day I'm fading out of you, fading out of you. I'm losing my hope for you. Such is the way life plays out, and it's confronting when you think about it. I was my own worst enemy. I didn't know how to work in teams, so I stuck out as a renegade warrior. I puffed my chest like a peacock, but secretly cowered in my insecurity. My turning point came when I started to allow people inside. I discovered how much love, passion, and effort people wanted to invest in me. All my unworthiness as a kid started to melt away. So it comes in waves. Stuff that's embedded in the psyche gets let out slowly, one day at a time. I started to write songs to remind myself. Strung out on my own, all I know, it gets hard to show this person in control of my soul. This is our story, and I hope you don't mind me. Slow down, there's no getting used to these breakdowns. We're getting older, still we lay down to the same sounds. Can you calm down? Drowning in sorrows is not for tomorrow, and laughter is borrowed. It's no fun at all. Strung out on my own, all I know, it gets hard to show this person in control of my soul. This is our story, and I hope you don't mind me. This is our story, baby, I hope you don't mind me. Yeah, this is our story, and I hope you don't mind me. I once heard, one of the best things you can do for mental health and self-esteem is to contribute to others. I started helping out at the Willing Heart Soup Kitchen. My partner and I raised funds for migrant workers with a charity concert. I helped my friends with their music. I started lecturing, part-time at first, and then finally full-time. Every time I worked with a student who was struggling with self-worth, self-doubt, and insecurity, I felt like I was also healing the wounded child inside. Anybody who had no friends or felt lost, I connected with. Their victories were heartfelt, and I was compelled to watch and guide them on their journey. As a dual professional, I have a responsibility to nurture the talents of tomorrow while maintaining my creative practice. These two roles flow seamlessly into each other as I prepare my lesson plans, infused with learning tactics from what I see in the industry and what I experience in life. So students, get to know the why behind what you do. My music began as my defense mechanism, but when I opened up and let people contribute, it flourished. When I started sharing it with the world, people felt compelled to also express themselves and show the world their vulnerable, sensitive side too. If your motivation is from a dark place, ask yourself why. Don't be afraid to share it with the world. You'll be surprised to find that it will reach places you never imagined possible. This is my road less traveled, and I've still a long way to go. Here we are, come so far, it's been hard, so this one's for the road. Won't be long till we're gone, so this song's the one that takes us home. Take a dive straight into the deep, and won't you try taking a chance with me, 'cause anytime you're feeling nervous, I just hope you hear this, and you know you're not alone. I can get a little crazy, filled with all these maybes. Maybe just put down your phone and sing la-di-da-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da. Even though it's noisy, take a deeper breath and sing.